All right, everybody, we are back again. We are enlightened living with a Scorpio and a
Aquarius.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so this time we're going to talk about some twin flames and sacred interactions in the bedroom.
Right. So I guess I wanted to do a video on this because I've all okay, so people talk about soulmates, right? A lot. And then I guess a newer thing that people have been like obsessed about is like twin flames recently, like the past few years, and I'm like, what the heck is a twin, like what are they talking about? What are people like running their mouths? I don't know. But anyway. So yeah, I wanted to just discuss it a little bit. I'm going to touch a little bit more on sacred doing it. Sorry, I'm being like childish using the word doing it, but we all know what we're talking about here. All right, so I don't, have you heard of twin flames? Or?
I've heard briefly about twin flames, and the thing about the twin flame idea is, I guess it's supposed to be a little bit more like a volatile relationship, or like that. It's something.
Yeah, it's more. I guess I can't really define it exactly either, huh? Because I was getting ready to try to. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's like a soulmate, except closer or more intense than a soulmate, sort of, something like that.
Yeah, and these people say the connection is very like powerful and explosive, and can be like people can like act out with each other and whatnot. But the thing is, like, when I see a twin flame, I think of like two candles next to each other, and if it catches wind, they both bend in the same way if they're close enough to actually touch, not something like a firecracker and then it blows up. That doesn't seem like a twin flame to me. That seems like a little too.
Well, so I think, yeah, it sounds maybe like, and I don't know really, but it seems like if you're in a relationship that's like really intense, but also can be volatile, and like one of the person runs away or whatever, I don't know. So there's relationships like that you can get throughout your life with even people that you're not in romantic relationships with, and like, so I don't know if it's the intensity of the relationship that makes it a twin flame relationship, or is it the fact that you fight a lot and then you really intensely love each other. Like, I don't know. But I think what I want to say is that I'm thinking that more, I don't know, because I see everything as like everyone's just one. We're all kind of from the same like source energy, and sort of whoever you come to this physical plane and interact with, they're all part of your like oneness group, if that makes sense. And so if you decide to couple up with someone, in a way, depending on how you guys feel about each other, that can be your soulmate or twin flame relationship. However, whatever you want to label it, really. I feel like it's just a label, basically. Twin flame is just a label to distract people, kind of like finding your soulmates. I think it's a real distraction.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it seems like it's a name they just give to a person that they're like almost obsessing over, or like they have like not a real connection, but they want desperately to have a connection, and they're just like using it instead of like what you would normally be like lust or obsession or coveting. I think it's just something like that, because obviously it's like everything's supposed to be in balance, and if something's like that, it's not in balance.
And so I guess whatever your definition of twin flame is, whoever is listening to this, I would say that I still don't really know how to wrap my head around what a twin flame, because I've read about it and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what people were talking about. All right, so what does that mean though? I don't know, you know. But like I said, I see that a lot of people seem to be super distracted about it, and like everyone's like obsessed about finding their twin flame, and like I think it's literally just like distracting people from really finding like who doing their inside work and finding out who they are and all that kind of stuff. Now they have this huge distraction of finding their twin flame, you know, their soul that was, you know, split or whatever, and now they need to group back up with that so it can be whole again, or some BS like that, you know. It's looking like it's a big distraction, basically.
I agree, because like when you think about people talking about other things, even like soulmates, before they're like, oh, I found my other half or whatever, it's like, well, why aren't you whole? It's like you can be whole before you find another person to be with,
to share your existence with.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't need to find another half, because you're already whole if you look inward. It's like, so finding, like, always looking out to find what you're missing is not actually what you need to be doing. The twin flame, soulmate, whatever, it's like you need to be looking inside, completing who you are. If you feel like there's missing pieces, and then I don't think you'd have this relationship or idea.
Well, yeah, and if you find someone you want to spend your life with, then that is that, and you guys can experience existence together and make it more rich or whatever, but I don't think it ever has to go to the super like obsessive thing, but I don't know, that's just me.
Because it's like a lot of times obsession, it comes from insecurities and things like that. It's like it's not something people need to really be doing. But on another note, what about sacred sex?
Okay, I think we actually had a recent video where we talked a little bit about this, but we didn't talk about it as much as I was actually wanting to get into it. But so the idea of sacred sex. So when you talk about sacred unions, so this would be like when people couple together and they're on the same wavelength, they're committed to their sacred union, and so what they produce out of that sacred union would be sacred unit, right? So that kind of goes back to the whole you probably shouldn't be sleeping around. I mean, you say don't waste that kind of energy with people that you're not in a sacred union with. It's best not to, right? Because when you're in that union and then you do the deed, then it becomes sacred.
Exactly. It's like, and that's what they highly promote all the time through media and all types of things. Like people always like watch celebrities and whatnot. It's like jumping through relationships, and this is so great. Or like when they're single, sleeping around, they're like, this is so amazing, so great. But like when you actually ask a real person, especially someone that's in a relationship that you actually appreciate, like an older couple or whatever, you're like, wow, how'd you make this work? They're like, oh, it's because we treat each other with respect, and it's like this is the person that I chose to spend my life with, and their sex becomes like a sacred thing, not just like I just do it with whoever and anyone all the time. It's like, because it's just not what it's supposed to be, but they highly publicize it because they want people to like kind of
waste their energy.
Yeah, it's like they don't want them to really find what's important.
And that is very strong creative like energy. The energy of like sex and all of that, it's extremely powerful energy, and I guess that's why it's promoted everywhere, for everyone to just like do it all the time, everywhere.
Yeah,
anytime.
definitely. Is that because it's a very, as you were saying, very powerful experience, and that's why they try to get people like addicted on the butterflies, and then you have this powerful experience, and then it goes away because it's like, but then like, oh, that's not good anymore. But the people that you actually talk to that have done it and are like in a relationship and they've committed themselves to the other person, they always say it's way better than you can ever experience with just like one night stands or like just boyfriends or girlfriends or like just the initial like, oh, butterflies. It's like you can actually develop something way more powerful, way more connected than that. You don't need to worry about this whole like, let me chase the great feeling that I get from like the first time or like whatever. That's not that important.
Yes, and then so yeah, that's when it becomes that the sacred doing it. And now let's actually, did you want to say anything more about this?
I'd like to talk about like what a lot of times with people when they talk about sacred sex, like there's a part where for the male part, when it comes to ejaculating.
Oh, okay, yeah, they call it the retention, the semen retention, withholding the ejaculation, because the semen is supposed to be sacred fluid, basically, that, and every time you let it go, you're letting out a lot of powerful energy. So what do you think about that? And this has to go along too with like this the whole no fap movement that's going on. No fap.
Yeah, like
stop hitting the beans, right?
Like no more going rounds with the clown, no hand-to-man combat, none of that kind of stuff. Like so, what that is like no fapping and whatnot is like withholding your ejaculate or like getting away from pornography.
So no fap is like no more masturbation.
No more masturbation and no more like pornography and stuff like that. It's like it's supposed to be like making sure you kind of keep it inside of you until you're like trying to use it. And then there's also like the other part where it's like in the sacred union, there's people that withhold while they're about to orgasm, they hold it back and then have a body orgasm instead. Some people believe that you just never ever ejaculate, you just hold it back all the time. But I don't believe that's unless you're trying to make kids. But I don't feel that's like necessarily a thing you need to do. Some people it's great. Some people, especially for people it's like very promiscuous people, that is a great thing to start practicing doing, withholding all the time, but then also trying to develop a relationship with somebody.
Yeah, because I kind of actually maybe agree with you a little bit because I read a couple of ancient spiritual books, especially a lot of the like tantra type things, or talking about like acupuncture and ancient Eastern medicine. But so they talk about the chi, certain types of chi in the body or energy centers in the body, and there's types of chi that you can replenish, and there's a few that you can't replace or replenish. Once they run out, they're completely gone. And the idea behind the ejaculate fluid, I think there's a couple of spinal fluid, there's a couple of other ones, I don't remember them, but you can't replace them once they're gone. So the whole idea about retention of the semen is to preserve that fluid so you don't waste it all throughout your lifetime. Because when it's gone, then you pretty much, that's your life force is pretty much gone.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially like being a male. Like when you masturbate or ejaculate or anything like that, you feel like something afterwards. That's why you get all tired and you want to sleep and whatnot. And especially if you do it more than one time in a day, you feel worn out. And you're like, well, I'm just like kind of just worn out. And then that's when people like get addicted to the idea of like, well, if I can't sleep, I know a good way to go to sleep. I will masturbate before I go to bed, and then they'll go to sleep. But the thing is, like, you don't have to just do that. It's like you want to try to keep that life force energy and only use it when it has a purpose or for like someone that you really care about, to make that sacred union.
Yeah, because the several of the books, I think I was listening recently to someone who is, I don't know if they were suggesting that basically you pretty much should never release the ejaculate. I don't know. But in your experience, that's when you basically went to no FAP, and basically you only let it go when we're getting it on. But you have found that the combination of no FAP, but also doing sacred sex where you go ahead and like, I think you mix it up a little bit, but it's not the same. It's a better type of
definitely, you can tell the difference when fapping versus like doing it with your sacred partner or just doing it with somebody. All of them have a difference when you really allow yourself to feel how your body is reacting, how you feel, and like your whole energy. When I was just fapping, I felt just drained. If I was doing with somebody that I didn't really care that much about, just for doing it, I felt drained. But when I actually have the sacred union my partner, in doing it, not only do I not feel drained, I actually feel energized. And I do sometimes withhold ejaculation at the same time. It's like both of them make you feel energized. I don't get done and I'm like, oh, I'm about to go pass out.
But is it more so since you've started doing the no FAP?
Yeah, even more so, I recognize how it feels. And then the thing that's interesting is like when I do try to like put out enough energy or life force or ejaculate to make a baby, I do feel tired. Yeah, I feel like just this surge of energy coming through me to go out, instead of just like, oh, it feels good, I'm about to pass out. No, it's like I actually feel the energy transferring, and also the energy that stays within when I have a sacred doing it session versus not.
So what you're saying is it's different when you're no FAP, and so before and after your doing it sessions are a little bit different. You feel them more, and then like the withholding versus the sacred ejaculation of pleasure sex are about the same. But when you're letting go to make a baby, then you can feel the energy leaving you. Is that what you just said?
That's exactly right.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's like I actually have a very strong feeling, and I can feel it. It's not just like, oh, I feel my parts like doing this. Now it's a full body thing. I feel the energy. I feel the whole transferring. I feel like the connection. It's very interesting, very fascinating. It's a much more powerful experience, and I actually enjoy it a lot more than just like normal just doing it.
So, what I was reading about withholding ejaculate is, at least all the maybe I need to read more, but the few places that I've read about it, they recommend withholding it. They don't say it's necessary. They say that basically don't overuse and abuse your sexual energy is what they say.
And so I don't think, at least the places I've read, have said that you have to withhold the semen all the time. I think what they're trying to get at is don't be a whole bag, basically, right?
Yeah.
And I think the way you're going about it, I mean, if you feel like how you feel about it, so where you're basically, you still ejaculate, but you also withhold, and then it feels different from when you actually try to make a kid or try to make a baby or whatever. Just the way you feel about all those different ones can you listen to how you feel, basically, right?
Yeah.
And if you're feeling deep down inside is telling you that this is the way how you can do it or whatever, or it's agreeing with you overall, then I guess that's a good way to go about it. I don't know.
Definitely.
I guess basically, if anyone is researching this sort of thing, I think you certainly go with what feels right for you. Obviously, the best thing to do is no FAP, and then when you do have a partner that you can create a sacred union with, then it's not really so much that everything goes in that sacred union, but whatever the two partners are comfortable with creating, because now you're in a place of creating sacred energy and play with it and have fun with it, basically, right?
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It becomes a very powerful space, and you can kind of cultivate whatever you like to cultivate with it, and it just grows, and your connection grows. It becomes a sacred space that you get to share. All right, that about wraps it up. Anything you'd like to add?
I think that might be all.
All right, everybody.